I would definitely say that I overeat, and to the point where I actually get pains in my tummy. But how much is considered an eating disorder? Stick with us to the end and we're going to let you know what we think.
We are the Happy Headers, and you're very welcome to this video. It's an interesting thing, Siobhan. Like, I mean, most people at some stage have overeaten. You know, Christmas, a good example, or
overindulgence.
Yeah, or if you're sitting in watching something, and especially if you're going to have a few drinks, and somebody says, "Oh, we'll order in." Like, you don't order in. Well, certainly in my house, you don't order in like veg and salad. So, you a lot of stuff. You know, there's meat.
Yes.
There's burgers, there's fish, there's chips, there's chicken, all kinds of things. And the idea is to eat as much of that as possible. So is that normal, or when or where is the line where you step up and you go, hold on, I've got a problem here?
Well, I think like in today's society certainly there's an awful lot more awareness around eating and eating disorders and healthy eating and what's good for you and what's bad for you. But I think what's good for one person is not necessarily good for another. For example, you know, my husband eats and I put on weight. So that's kind of the way it just goes,
you know? That can be frustrating because the reason for that, the biological reason, is that although men and women have the same amount of muscles, men carry more muscle mass, and muscle mass burns more calories.
Oh, that's so handy for us,
isn't it? And plus, God was a man. So it's weighted in our favour.
Not allowed to get into that conversation with me. I'm going to choke you. This podcast, Paul.
But many people would be familiar with bulimia, where you eat and then you regurgitate it down the loo. Yeah. And that satisfies this need to get the food in, this craving to fill up. And sometimes it is like that there's an empty space within you.
Yeah.
That you need
to certainly. It's emotional. You know, I would pertain all eating disorders to some emotional or psychological lack. You know, so even with anorexia nervosa, you know, there's a lot of body dysmorphic image that they have when they look in the mirror. They see fat where there is no fat to be seen at all. You know, so they have I suppose a weird view of how they look. Or a different view of how they look. So we might look in the mirror and think we look great.
Oh, I do every morning. Yeah.
I don't. But I think that's the thing with women then as well. You know, like women are more critical, I think, of how we look.
They can't. You see, men aren't as much, and I know there's lots of exceptions. I would say men aren't as much into the looks as women are. And you see, it's the thing for women. Women aren't necessarily doing that for men if they're heterosexual. But it's what other women would say about it.
Yeah.
But my sister told me that one time she just hopped into the car, whatever, she had to go into town or something, and she was in, you know, not particularly dressed well, and a friend of hers just grabbed her off the street and put her and said, "You should not be seen in town dressed like that." And goes, "Oh, I'm just going into the supermarket." Oh, like people are looking at you.
People are looking at you.
I had a similar experience then because for work I normally wear a jacket, a casual jacket or a suit jacket with shirt and pants. But there was one day I was out doing some gardening and I was in a pair of dirty old shorts, sandals, vest on me that was covered, and I thought, oh, need to go down to the shop. And I couldn't be bothered going in, and I just walked down.
Yeah.
And that's fine. But then I met one of my clients in the shop.
Oh.
And he suddenly got a different perspective on me.
Yeah.
You know,
you're using his gardening clothes.
because how you are and how you dress it conveys a particular perspective, a way you want people to see you. But here's an interesting thing. Do you know that there's a genetic component to many eating disorders? So identical twins can go on to develop eating disorders, even if they're raised separately.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
Isn't that interesting? So it suggests that there is some genetic component. But as you said, I remember many years ago, myself and another therapist, we were sharing a session with a client, and she was talking about the way that women have a womb. I knew that. But as a man, I'm kind of unaware of how that feels. And she was saying you have this hollow space inside of you that you need to fill. and she was talking about maternal instincts that most women, a lot of women would want to have kids, but she said, like, your stomach, it's another void that you need to fill, and sometimes if everything isn't right in your relationship life, you're looking to fill that void through food.
Yeah, well, it makes sense from the perspective of emotional fulfillment, you know. I think even with binge eating as well, like people eat a huge amount of food, like down into their stomach, and to the fact that they're, you know, and then they go and purge themselves and make themselves sick. But how can we help people, I suppose, really, that would be dealing with that? Because I know even amongst men, there is a rise, you know, among young men with anorexia nervosa as well in the community.
There is.
It's more prevalent now than ever it used to be. So there was a study done by SAMHSA on this, and they speak about the rise in, you know, between 14 and 16-year-old boys presenting with anorexia. It's more serious now.
Isn't that too because you've got Instagram and all of these social media sites where people are comparing themselves? Yeah,
I think there's a lot of emphasis on how we look and body image out there now, you know. And I think that's very hard, and it's one of the reasons why I decided to let my hair go grey.
I'm going to follow suit. Eventually, when I can afford some hair.
It's going to let his eyebrows go grey. It's going to be awesome.
Backcomb them.
Yes.
Then like a comb over.
Yes, I love it.
I look like some kind of.
It's got a long way to go. They're very black at the moment.
Anyways, apart from that, did you know that a lot of catwalk models, because they have this imperative to be slim, a lot of them suffer with depression and anxiety because your brain is mostly made up of fat and water. Sorry about that, but there's no like muscles really in your brain. It's fat and water. And when you deprive your body of the nutrients and of water, your brain function doesn't work as it should do. So people in the modelling industry get into this spiral of depression and anxiety. And then the body dysmorphia kicks in then too. They become very unsure how they look. Even though they might look fabulous. Yeah. No amount of reassurance from anybody else works because it's the voice in their own head.
Yeah.
It's telling them.
Yeah, I saw a film one time, Black Swan it was called. It was about ballerina, and she has like delusions and everything, you know. Oh, it's crazy what they go through, like to try and be a certain weight. But yeah, I do think that society pressures are a big factor, I suppose, why people develop these things. But not everybody takes to it. It's a bit like deliberate self-harm as well. It is a way of harming yourself too,
you
know.
Starving yourself, punishment, and sometimes the pain and the discomfort of it. Can be something. But isn't it interesting the cultural norms? I saw something recently. It was about how women looked back, say, late 1800s, 1900s, and fashion, and the way that was emphasising different parts of the body. The flat chest was very much in the 1920s, so women kind of would flatten the chest, and then like in the 50s, you had these Hollywood stars, and that was something that, and I heard somebody saying that the average Irish woman should be size 14 to 16, maybe 18. That's the thing. And you notice this too, and I noticed this with women and makeup. Like not too long ago, women's eyebrows were just you were drawn out.
Yeah.
Now you see some women, and so they almost have a unibrow,
like caterpillars.
Yes, and that was frowned upon. 10 years ago, and now if you have the pencil things, that's frowned upon. It's very fickle, isn't it? I don't have to worry about that.
Yeah, you've just got men don't have to worry about this.
But this idea, and I could never get my head around this idea of being a size 0.
Oh God.
I mean, it's absolutely it's unattainable. It's crazy, but it's a fashion thing, and more. Friends of mine were saying that you notice there's a lot of heavier women now being used in advertisements.
Oh yeah.
And they're not so much glorifying, but they're promoting that this is how women are. This and if you are like this, you are normal. There's nothing wrong with you.
Yeah, I love the Dove ads. Do you guys ever see the Dove ads actually? And they have women all shapes and sizes, different colours with different markings on their skin and everything. Fabulous.
I know that.
Yeah, so good. And I think it's better just to promote a healthier body image in general, because I remember there was a study done by SAMHSA as well a good many years ago, and it was around what women perceived to be the perfect body weight. So you would be 5'8", which is taller than me. It's 2 inches taller than me, and 4 stone. So I'm like, Jesus, 4 stone is about 8.
You'd look like an alien.
Like that.
There'd be people reporting that those aliens have landed.
Yeah, you couldn't. You'd be so skinny.
Yeah.
Like there'd be nothing of you. I don't even know there'd be place for your bones. You'd have to remove some, like say.
Basically,
like your legs or something.
It's about feeling comfortable in your skin.
Yes.
I've told this story before. Maybe some of you've heard it, but it's true. A lady came to me many years ago to do an article on me for a newspaper, and she was hoping to get a job with that newspaper, and they said, we'll go and do a profile on somebody. So she picked me, and she came, she sat down with me, and we were talking about hypnosis and the subconscious mind and how it affects the body. And she said to me, well, I'd like to lose a little bit of weight. I'm not totally happy. So we got into it, but my approach to it is, let's have a look at what's driving your eating habits. You're not eating because you're physically hungry all the time. In fact, we never let ourselves get physically hungry. You're not necessarily eating because you like the taste and the flavours and the textures of the food. You're feeding some emotional want. So when we got into that, we started dissecting her emotional wants and needs, and realising where they came from and what she'd lived through and others. She started to lose weight, and then one week she came back and she normally tell me how much weight she lost, and she came in and said, I think I put on 2 pounds this week. And I go, But she was very happy. She said, for the first time in my life, I am comfortable in my own skin.
Wow. Isn't that lovely?
And that was lovely. And she went on subsequently then to lose lots more weight, and it was no hassle, no issue to her. You know. So I suppose the long and short of it is that there is help available.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I direct people to bodywise.com. It's a great website. It's all about eating disorders, and there's plenty of help available there for free. Do you know, so it's fabulous. And of course, ourselves here at Lone Care Clinic, we need help with that.
So whether you're thinking of an eating disorder or you are a little bit fearful that you might be going in that direction, it's a good website to touch base with.
Just have a check it out. If you're worried about anybody as well, you know, some key signs as well would be avoiding food, you know, any acid burns on the fingers for bulimia, enamel wearing away, different things like that. So if you do notice that in any of your loved ones, do pop on to Bodywise and have a look at the signs and symptoms.
Okay. We are the Happy Headers. Like us, subscribe to us, and we'll talk to you soon.